Hey guys, Angela here and welcome to another day of Vlogmas. Today's video is going to be me answering 21 questions. I put a question on my Instagram story and I had quite a few questions, but I chose 21 of them. Okay, I had like 30 questions and I narrowed it down to 21. So I'm going to answer the 21 questions that I got in an effort for you all to get to know me better. This Vlogmas, I'll probably be moving around the apartment just a little bit so I can make it sort of like a little apartment tour as well, just two things in one. So right now I'm sitting on my bed. I do live in a studio, in a large studio, so that means that I have a separate eat-in kitchen, which I 100% appreciate about this space. So I am just sitting on my bed. As you can see, it's super colorful. You know, we have a little bit of like it's more red on camera, but it's like a burgundy-ish color. We have multicolors. We have like a goldish yellow. And my apartment building is extremely old. It's an old building. It's an old hotel actually. So in the kitchen, I have like a little butler's door. It's the door that they used to open up and slide your room service through. It's so creepy, but because the building is so old, I needed to inject some color into this apartment because the walls have 7,000 coats of this like dark cream gross paint, and it's painted over like old crown molding that was carved out in the walls. It's old and rickety, and so I just felt like the space needed color. Typically, I'm not a big color person. I usually have like a pretty neutral living space, but I just felt like this place needed pops of color, especially because it's such a small space that I didn't want to put things on the wall, like paintings and pictures and stuff, because I felt like it was gonna make it smaller. So as we move through, you'll notice that there is pops of color, this like goldish yellow, this burgundy-ish red, all through the apartment, even in the kitchen. So let's get to answering some of the questions. We'll start with the first question, which is pretty apt because it's about my morning routine. So the first question is, your day seems productive. What's your regimen? Do you say regimen or regime? Regime, I don't know. Anyway, so Monday through Friday, I'm up at 5 a.m. The first thing that I do when I get up at 5 a.m. is say a prayer. Thank God for waking me up. Thank God for all of my faculties, all of my limbs, all of everything working in the way that they're supposed to work. Say a prayer for my family, say a prayer for my friends and their families. And then the next thing that I do is immediately grab my phone, which I know you're like, Angela, that's not good. But I immediately grab my phone and go right to the Bible app. I read the verse of the day, and if you're familiar with the Bible app, it also comes with like a series of stories that is connected to the verse of the day. So there's a little motivational message from like a pastor or somebody within like a Christian organization or a religious organization, and then there is a written passage, so it's a whole thing. So I do that every morning as well, and then I go read my horoscope on my email, and you'd be surprised how often those two things correspond. Don't get it twisted. Sometimes they correspond and I'm like, oh, God and the universe working together. And then the next thing that I do is make my bed. It's important to me that I make my bed every day because I live in such a small space. If the bed isn't made, it feels like the entire apartment is in disarray. So I always make my bed. Those are the only things. Oh, and then I have to be out of the house between 6:15 and 6:20 to get to the gym by 6:30. Those are the only things that I structure about my morning. Exactly what I do when I wake up, make my bed, and be out of the house at a certain time. Anything else between the time that I get up at 5 and sit down at my table or my desk, or whatever you want to call it, to work at 9 isn't that structure. And so if I could give any advice about setting a morning routine and being successful at it, is that maybe not schedule out everything in your morning routine. Give yourself a time frame. I have between 5 and 9 to get X amount of things done, and then just get them done in the way that you're feeling that day, right? I think that people fail because they try to structure every little thing. So my advice would be, don't structure everything. Just give yourself a time frame and go with the flow. The next question is 5 things you'd put in a time capsule to be opened 100 years from now. It can be something that you already own or something that you aspire to own. So the first thing that I would put in a time capsule would be whatever album that I am listening to at the moment, so that people can know what music sounded like at that very time. So if I were to put something in a time capsule today, it would be Kiana Ledé's Kiki album. That is the top album for me of 2020. I have not listened to anything as much as I have listened to that album. I listened to it from start to finish. I never skip anything. I absolutely love that. If you're not familiar with Kiana Ledé, she puts you in the same vein of like SZA or Summer Walker, so those types of girl, which I really love. I love what I call vibey music, so she fits right into that. So I would definitely put that album in if I was doing that today. I will also put a handwritten note about the state of the world. So I would sit down and write exactly what is going on in the world, in America, in 2020 right now today. So I would talk about politics. I would talk about social issues, injustices. I would give the real tea, because history books be lying. And I need people to know what's really happening in 2020. I would also put a second note in there, and the second note would be just a prayer. And that's because I want people to know that God was good 100 years before, and he's still good today. Hallelujah, amen, yes. And then the last two things, I'm not quite sure. I would probably put a compilation of pictures that are on my Instagram feed, just so the kids in Galactica could see how ridiculous we dressed 100 years before. And then the last thing I'm sort of struggling with, so I don't know, I'll think about it. Maybe I'll come back and answer it later. The third question is top 3 2020 lessons. Okay, so the first thing that I've maybe not necessarily learned, because it's something that I've been doing for like the last 5 years, but it's more like an affirmation, in that investing in getting to know myself and figuring out how to entertain myself and enjoy my own company has proven to be the best investment into myself that I could have done. Because COVID, when I tell you, understanding myself, enjoying my own company, knowing what to do to entertain myself has kept me during COVID. It has come in clutch. So definitely that. If you're not a person that really understands how to enjoy your own time or enjoy yourself in your own personal space, or you haven't gotten your space to a point where you're extremely comfortable in it, I highly recommend that you do that. In the case that we are in COVID or in quarantine for another year, which, by the way things are going, we might just be. The second thing that I have listed here is I've just adopted the motto of just do it, right? I am in my Nike bag. Like, whatever you want to do, just do it. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. It doesn't have to be perfect timing. So that's why I'm sitting here recording a YouTube video today. And I'm using my new camera, but when I started 2 months ago, I started with my phone. And it was a pain in the ass, running out of space all the time. But I've been wanting to start a YouTube channel for a long time, and I just was like, just do it. So just do it. And then the third lesson of 2020 is grace. I have had to show myself so much grace in 2020, because I am so much less like on the ball and productive than I typically am. COVID has just taken it out of me. Being in quarantine has just taken it out of me, and so I have been a lot more gracious with myself. I've let myself be lazy. I've let myself like say, nah, I don't want to do that. Like, nah, I'm not doing it. But also be gracious with other people. I've learned to be gracious and show grace around other people's fears and concerns. Even like being patient with USPS, which sounds small, but like, child, listen. USPS has tested my patience, but I've just learned to be a little more gracious. The next question is, what are 3 principles that you live by? First principle is faith. To God be the glory always. That's it. That's all. I could stop there. But the second principle that I have listed here is authenticity, right? And I'm not talking about in terms of like being on YouTube and being authentic, or being on social media or being authentic. I just mean, it took me a very long time to be comfortable with showing up into spaces exactly as who I am. And I mean every space that I enter into. Coming from, you know, East St. Louis, the whole city is the hood, growing up in the projects, going to college, trying to fit into what the aesthetic of like being a college girl meant, really took me outside of who I really am, right? Or where I came from. And so that affected a lot of my relationships with my sisters, relationships with my friends from home, relationships with myself, because a lot of times I just felt so like inauthentic. And I finally got to the place within the last 5 years where I am going to show up as classy, bougie, ratchet. Like when Megan Thee Stallion made that song, she was talking about me. And so I'm just gonna show up as all of those things everywhere that I go and be unapologetic about it. And then the last thing that I have here is never say anything about anyone that you haven't said to them or that you can't repeat to them. Otherwise, don't be a fake biatch, okay? Don't be fake. So I got a little tired of sitting down. I was sitting on my bed with my legs folded and my knees were killing me. So I had to get up. So the next question is, your style has shifted over the years. What was the biggest influence? So I'm glad that you noticed. It definitely has. I would say that my biggest influence really is just lifestyle change. I moved to Chicago 5 years ago. And you know, Chicago is a big city, so that's like a change in atmosphere in general. But even though Chicago is a big city compared to Tennessee and it's a lot faster, my life is just a lot less fast paced, right? It's just a lot more slow, it's a lot more chill, and I think my style just sort of reflects where I am in life right now. I really do feel like though that I've sort of like hit where I'm supposed to be style wise. I think I've hit my stride. I don't really foresee it changing a lot beyond what it is now. I mean, of course, you know, there's ebbs and flows, especially with like trends and things like that, but I think I've sort of found my niche. So yeah, I really do just think that it's about a combination of like lifestyle changes and age. Look, I say it all the time, y'all think I be playing, but my feet, I cannot wear heels, right? And so if I'm gonna have to wear sneakers, gym shoes, tennis shoes is what I call them, or I grew up calling them. I've been in Chicago too long, I've been calling them gym shoes or sneakers or whatever the case may be. But if I'm gonna wear tennis shoes, they have to be popping. So I have started buying more than just the classic Converse or Vans or Stan Smiths that I typically would wear. So yeah, a little bit of lifestyle, a little bit of age, and you know, this is what you get. I have on a t-shirt right now by Guilty Intimates and a pair of just a Goldie jeans, and this is like my uniform, and this is me all day. The next question is, how are you handling not having anywhere to wear your new purchases? Honestly, it doesn't bother me. I was a homebody pre-COVID. I didn't really go anywhere other than maybe a brunch with friends on the weekend or maybe drinks on Fridays. So, you know, I wasn't really just out here in the streets anyway, so it doesn't faze me. Whatever. I'll wear it on YouTube, or I'll just take pictures of what I have and post it on Instagram. It's not that big of a deal. Do you wear perfume? If so, what is your favorite? This is question number 7, by the way. No and yes. So no, I haven't worn perfume within the last 5 years because I've mentioned in a few different videos that I have a form of skin lupus. And so my skin is very sensitive to fragrances, harsh chemicals and things like that. So I haven't been able to really wear perfume within the last 5 years, but I am on, you know, a medicine that, you know, has my skin pretty much under control, and I've been introducing fragrance back into my like skincare routine slowly but surely. My soap now has a little bit of fragrance. I use a shower oil that has a little bit of fragrance in it, and so my body has been responding well to it. I just started a new skincare routine. Some of the products that I'm using have some harsher chemicals that I've used within the last 5 years, so like hyaluronic acid. I have a vitamin C serum and things like that. So long answer short, yes, because the next thing that I'm going to try is incorporating a little bit of perfume back into my routine. I did buy a roll-on version of my absolute favorite perfume, which is the Nest Indigo fragrance. Like, I'm not a huge hoarder of perfumes like that. I have a fragrance, a signature fragrance, and it is Nest indigo. And so I plan on grabbing some of that real soon. Real soon. How many pairs of shoes do you own? You know, not a lot. Like I said, I'm not a big like hoarder of things. I don't have a bunch of things. Let me just show you. Hold on. So it's pretty dark, but I am standing in my closet. This is all the space that I have. So I don't have a lot of space to have a lot of things. So everything that I have is very minimal. Right now, I mostly wear gym shoes because, as I mentioned, I do a lot of walking. It just goes with my style right now. And my feet are terrible. They are terrible. Heels don't work with them. So I have very minimal amount of heels. I won't even go through that. I have combat boots. I have a couple other pair of boots, but mostly I have gym shoes. So I have, I'm going to count them while I'm standing here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 pairs of, I'm lying. There's a pair right there. 20 pair of gym shoes right now. And I am hopefully going to get 2 more pair next Friday. Fingers crossed. So by the time that you watch this, hopefully there will be 21 pair, which to me is a lot less. I follow some girls that are true sneakerheads and they have all of them, and most of my shoes are my classics. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pairs of Converse, 2 pairs of Vans, and a pair of Air Force One. So the bulk of my shoes are what I consider my classic gym shoes. So there you have it. So the next question is, what is your best classic high-end brand? I don't know if I would say best. I don't know if I have the authority to say what is best because I don't wear a lot of high-end stuff. I don't have a lot of luxury things. I have a few pieces. I have a Louis Vuitton, like a giant Louis Vuitton speedy bag here in the closet that I do not carry because I do not like big purses anymore. Back in the day, I loved big purses. So I bought the biggest speedy bag that was available at the time. Now you can't pay me to carry it, but it's a classic, so I keep it. And then I have a pair of Fendi sandals that I can't even walk in. I bought them for my graduate school graduation. Could barely make it across the stage in them, but I keep them as a keepsake. And then I have a Burberry quilted jacket that I wear the hell out of. Now that I do wear. That was a good investment. But if I did have to say something, I will say that I am very much into American designers. I love Ralph Lauren and Donna Karan and Michael Kors, who is the designer or the brand that I'm going to say is the best high-end brand. I'm not talking about MK by Michael Kors or Michael by Michael Kors or whatever you call it. I'm talking about Michael Kors, the luxury goods of Michael Kors. It's just like classic American design. I absolutely love it. And then I would also say if this were like 2008, between, I think she left in 2018, I would have said Celine if this was back then because I wanted everything that Celine brought out when Phoebe Philo was there, but she's no longer there. So new Celine ain't old Celine. So I'm gonna say Michael Kors and old Celine. So I've moved again. I'm now in my kitchen and it's probably a lot more echoey, but I am standing in front of my bar, which is another area in my kitchen that I absolutely love. This was a very early on quarantine project. I bought and painted and filled this bar in like the middle of April, beginning of May. So the next question, which is going to be question number 10, is what is your favorite Cabernet? I don't have any right now to show you because I've drank them all. I've drank them all. They're all gone. But I did put together a list because I do have one. And I love that y'all pay attention. Y'all didn't ask me what's my favorite wine. You said, what's your favorite Cabernet? Because y'all know that I'm a Cabernet girl. I appreciate that. So I broke it down into 3 different categories. So the first category is going to be a special occasion Cabernet. This is a Cabernet that I'm going to drink every day because it's $30 or more, right? To me, that's expensive. So the first one is going to be my very favorite at the moment, and that is going to be Ferrari Carano. I think I'm pronouncing that right. And that is my absolute favorite right now. That is actually the Cabernet that got me stuck on Cabernet. Pre-Ferrari Carano, which I had for the first time in January of 2020, I was a Riesling girl. If I were going to order wine at a restaurant, it would have been like a Riesling or a Pinot or something like that. And then I was at Ocean's Prime one day with my girls and I told the waiter, hey, tell me what wine you think would taste good with the steak that I'm ordering. And he brought me that, and I have not looked back. So Ferrari Carano, and I'll list all of these in the description because I'm sure I am butchering the name of these wines. But Ferrari Carano is my absolute favorite. Another that I have listed that I absolutely love in the special occasion category is going to be Camus. This is an $85 bottle of Cabernet. I've only purchased it once after seeing somebody else on YouTube say that they absolutely love it, and I 100% agree. But unless I got something real special going on, I'm not spending $85 on no Cabernet. Okay, but Camus, if you're looking to spend a little quaint, Camus is where you want to go. The second category is going to be table wines. So table wines are typically wines that you serve if you're like having dinner at your house, or you and your homegirl sitting around and you want to crack a bottle of wine while y'all chit chat. These wines are typically under $20, so they're extremely affordable. My favorite one is going to be Chateau Saint Michelle. You can grab it from Trader Joe's, you can grab it from grocery stores if your grocery stores sell wine and things like that. It's $13.99, it's cheap, it's inexpensive. I can rationalize in my mind buying a bottle or so a week of that. So Chateau Saint Michelle. And then I also like the Freak Show, which is a little more expensive. It's $17.99, but I can also rationalize spending $17.99 on like a bottle a week or so. So either Freak Show or Chateau Saint Michelle if you're trying to start off with something that's like under $20. And then there is the gift category. So this is anywhere between $20 but definitely under $30. And so I have 3 listed there because I have 3 that I really like in that category. So the first one is going to be called Dao. That's D-A-O-U. I think that's how you spell it. And that one is about $22.99. Then I have Decoy on here, and that's about $19.99. So that's just at $20. That could actually go in the table wine section, but we'll keep it in the gift section because it tastes really good. And then the third one that I have listed in the gift section is going to be Justin. Now you have to be careful because there's a couple of different kinds of Justins, and I can't remember the specialized kind, but that one is not under $20. But there is a Justin's Cabernet that is about $22.99 that I like as well. And most of these I can get straight from Trader Joe's, which is also what I like about them. So those are my favorite Cabernets. Oh my God. My mouth is so dry from talking. So the next question was, what are some things that you always have in your refrigerator? LaCroix. I always have, if I don't have nothing else, I got some LaCroix. Right now I'm super into this limoncello flavor, but typically I just get the lime flavor. I really like that. I also always have water. I have a filtered pitcher, so I keep that filled up. Unsweetened almond milk is always in my refrigerator. I always have 1 or 2 jars of like kombucha, like the little health aid kombuchas, and some eggs. Oh, and some giardiniera, a judinera. I don't know how you say it, but I've never had that like mix of peppers and olives and cauliflower and all that stuff until I came to Chicago. I am obsessed. I don't know how they pronounce it, but I keep a bottle. I keep a jar of that in my refrigerator. Eat it on my eggs. Eat it on my potatoes, eat it on my sandwiches, eat it in my salads. I eat that shit on everything. So question 13 says, how would you approach a guy that you're interested in dating? Okay, let me go sit down for this. Okay, so I had to sit down to answer this next question. No, I'm kidding, but I wanted to move back into the living space and probably to my favorite place in the apartment, which is this couch. I sit on this couch all the time. If you follow me on Instagram, then you know that I'm always either taking a picture in the big mirror that sits across from the couch, or I'm sitting on the edge of the couch talking to the vlog or to Instagram in the mirror, or I'm sitting on the floor next to the couch, or I'm sitting on this couch because this is my favorite space. It matches with the bed, has the same throw pillows and color scheme as the bed. And then I have like my little table in front of it that has all of my little tchotchkes. I just have a bunch of random stuff on this table, but it's just stuff that I collect that I want to hold on to. A couple birthdays ago, my friend got me subscriptions to Elle and Marie Claire. I love those magazines, and so they just never stop coming. So I collect them. So I have stacks of magazines on the floor here, and then I have all of the magazines that I have received over the last year with black girls on the cover on top of the table, and I call it my black girl stack. So anytime I get a new magazine with a black girl on front, it goes on top of the table. I literally just added this Elle magazine today of Zendaya on my table today. So I love black girl covers. And then I just have like a little tray, and it's just full of like lipstick and old candles that have been burned out and keys and remotes. It's just a hodgepodge of a bunch of crap in it. So a bunch of stuff just on my table that just brings me joy. It makes me happy. Back to the question. The question was, how would you approach a guy you're interested in dating? So the last guy that I was interested in dating, I actually approached. I was the one that did the approaching, and I would see him in the gym all the time, and I would like give him a certain look or like try to get close or, you know, whatever to like get his attention, to get him to say something to me, and it just never worked. Like, he never said anything. So I said, either he don't realize what I'm doing, because, you know, men aren't really good at social cues. I'm like, either he doesn't know what I'm doing or he's not interested. So one day I was like, you know what, I am just going to say something. So we were in like one of those little side rooms that they do group workouts in, and it was just he and I in there. And one day I was just like, I'm just about to say something. So I snatched my earphones out and I opened my mouth to say something, and something came out. I don't know what it was, but then I shut up really quickly because I got scared, but he heard me. And so he was like, did you say something? And I'm like, no, I didn't say anything. So that was that. And then, you know, maybe a couple of weeks later, I was like, man, f this, because to me he was so cute, or is so cute. He's still cute. And I walked up to him one day. He like had his head down in his phone, and I just tapped him on his shoulder, and I was like, look, one day you gonna notice me looking at you, unless it's somebody important in that phone that you always talking to. And, you know, he kind of laughed it off, and we, you know, exchanged numbers, went out a few times, talked for a good while after that, and it sort of just fell off. I liked him. Like, to be honest, I have been in Chicago for 5 years. I have been single for 4 years and 2 months of those 5 years. And that is the only guy that I've ever been impressed by in Chicago. I don't know why we stopped talking, unless he has a girlfriend. He should probably call me if he sees this. Anyway, so I would say, try to think of something super cute, keep it light, make it relevant to like the interactions that y'all have had with each other. Be witty, and if he doesn't bite, he's not interested, or he probably has a girlfriend or something like that. So the next question is, how are you liking YouTube so far? I love it. I like YouTube a lot. Like, I like making videos. I like editing it. I'm super happy to have a camera because I'm more satisfied with the quality of the videos. But like, I've always been satisfied with the content that I've been doing. And so now that I have this camera, now that I have microphones that I did not use for this video, I'm looking into lighting. So the more that things start looking the way that I want them to look, I think I'll love it even more. But I like it. I like it a lot. My favorite thing to do is vlogs. I think that I'm interesting. I mean, I just do. Anyway, so the next question is, will you ever get a pet? No. That's it. Photos or paintings? Paintings. And I cannot wait to move into a forever home where I can start like buying art and collecting it and putting it all over the walls. Spring or fall? Spring, because summer follows spring and winter follows fall, and I don't like winter. Beach or pool? I can't swim, so I'm not going that deep into either one of them, so it don't even really matter. Number 19 says, what is Chicago like compared to down south? Any big adjustments? So for those of you that don't know, I am originally from the Midwest. So it wasn't that hard to readjust to being in the Midwest, because I'm from the Midwest. I'm from East St. Louis, Illinois. So I'm from a southern town in Illinois. 2 minutes over the Mississippi River from St. Louis, but it is Illinois. But I went to school in Tennessee, and after I graduated, I lived in Tennessee for many years after that. So I think in total I was in Tennessee for about 12 years. I mean, planes are just gonna, like, how many planes are gonna fly over my apartment at this point? So I was in Tennessee for maybe a total of 12 years or so, and then I moved to Chicago from Tennessee. But I will say I love staying in Chicago a lot more. Another thing that you may not know about me is I originally planned on moving to Chicago after undergrad. I only applied to one school, and that was UIC here in Chicago. But back then, back in my day, UIC was still more of a commuter school, and they were just starting to transition into like having dorms and things like that. It was the only school that I applied to because I was determined to move to Chicago, because to us, where I'm from, Chicago was like the big city. Like that is the place that you move to. And so I always felt like God like created me and dropped me off in the wrong place. So I was trying to get to the big city. So like I said, I only applied to University of Chicago, University of Illinois, Chicago, which is UIC. And I didn't get housing. I did not get housing. So I did not have a backup plan. I had a best friend that was going to Lincoln University in Missouri. It's an open enrollment school. I applied and moved into my dorm on the same day at Lincoln, and I stayed there for 3 years. I ended up absolutely loving it, but it was not my plan to be in podunk ass Missouri for college. So I was excited to get to Chicago when I moved here, and I love it. I love it. Of course, it has its downfalls, but I absolutely love living in Chicago. I will say the one thing that shocked me the most though about Chicago is how segregated it is. It is just as bad as living in Nashville, Tennessee. It feels a lot like Nashville in that there aren't a lot of places for young Black professionals or just young Black people in general to go and feel comfortable and safe, in my opinion. But other than that, I love it. Chicago is so full of culture. Like literally I could walk out my door and go to a museum. It's literally right there. It's culture all around you. The lake, you know, I love the fact that it's part of the culture in Chicago that people ride bikes where they're going, or, you know, people catch trains and buses. Like you don't have to have a car. I love that. Down south, you have absolutely no choice. Like zero, right? So the adjustment has been great. I love it here. Don't know if I'm going to stay though. But yeah, that's another video. Next question. This is number 20 actually. We're almost done here. So this question is, what is your fondest memory of your time at TSU? I'm gonna be honest and say liking it. I did not expect to enjoy my time at TSU. I arrived at TSU because I had to, not because I wanted to. Now, Lincoln University was not my first choice, but once I got there, I was all in. I was all in. I absolutely love the school. I love the friends that I made. I love how it changed my perspective and my thought processes and gave me new experiences, and it was all taken away from me. It was all taken away. I ended up getting expelled, and I don't know if the video about that is going to come out before or after this, but I am going to talk about being expelled from school in this Vlogmas in a story time video. So I don't know if you've already seen it or you will see it, but if you watch that video, you'll know what happened. So I arrived at TSU begrudgingly. I did not want to be there. And in my mind, I was like, oh, I'm just going. I'm gonna graduate, get the there. And that's it. I end up going and meeting a group of friends and changing even more than I did at Lincoln. Like I just could not imagine myself being who I am if I had never arrived in Tennessee, in the land of golden sunshine. And so my fondest memory is just getting there and liking it and building a life there and walking away with some of my best and closest friends. So I literally feel like I'm about to cry. So we're gonna move on to the last question. The last question is, do you ever get the holiday blues, and how do you overcome them? Of course I get the holiday blues, especially this year, because I had to cancel my trip home for Thanksgiving because I had a COVID scare. A few of my family members ended up getting COVID, and so I wasn't able to go. And with the way that the numbers are looking right now, I don't know if Christmas is going to happen as well. And you know, I don't mean to be alarmist. I don't want to get sick. As I said earlier in the video, I do have a form of skin lupus. It is not systematic, But I do have a couple other autoimmune deficiencies that I am afraid to catch COVID and find out that my immune system cannot fight it. So I am being very cautious of it. So of course I have the blues because I don't even know if I'm going to be able to get home for Christmas, which means I have not seen my family once in 2020. So yes, I have the blues. But I combat that and I go back to my, was it lessons of 2020? The lessons of 2020 question, in that I absolutely enjoy my own company. I have designed my space to be exactly what I need. You know, I draw inspiration from my apartment. It gives me like creative vibes, and you know, I enjoy being here. So if I can't go home for Christmas, I'm gonna do what I did on Thanksgiving. I'm going to buy some of my favorite foods. I'm going to make them. I'm going to grab my iPad. I'm going to lay on this couch and I am going to watch You've Got Mail or Serendipity or Under the Tuscan Sun or Chocolat or one of my favorite romantic movies, and drink me a glass of wine and eat some chocolate and have a good time because I enjoy me, right? So I have the blues, but I also know how to show myself a good time. And so I'll be okay. I will be okay. Anyway, that is 21 questions with Angela. I hope you got to learn a little bit more about me in this video. Maybe we'll do a part 2 if you all enjoyed it and you didn't hear some of the questions that you want to have answered. Thank you all for tuning in, and I will see you tomorrow because we are doing this 12 days in a row. 12 of them. Bye.